Hey, I'm back, and today I want to talk about Jamstix 4 again and how I use it. Recently somebody asked me if I could go over my workflow and everything with it, and I thought I would because frankly, I didn't have any other ideas for videos this week, so they helped me out. And if you have an idea you want me to do, leave it down below. I don't always do them, but sometimes I do. Remember, somebody asked me to do a series on Alan Holdsworth lead style, and I did 4 videos on it. It did take 2 years before I got to it, but I eventually did it. And so, anyways, back on topic. We're talking about Jamstix 4 here. Here's a song that I wrote about a month ago or so, and I've been working on it. It's still not done. I'm in the process of mixing it, but I'll let you hear it. I use Jamstix here, going into addictive drums. I'll just let you hear part of the verse first. Okay, so with Jamstix, this was fairly easy to do. If you open it up here, you see in the top here I have intro, verse, pre-chorus, chorus 1, verse 2, pre-chorus, etc. And I have the same thing here. And so once you do this, it's fairly easy because I can see it in my DAW and on Jamstix where they sync up. And all I have to do is for these different parts, I have to do small variations. And that's one of the things I like about Jamstix. What you can do is you start out with a simple beat, and then through each section, if you just add small variations and differences in power, you can do a lot to help your arrangement. Before, I would just take like a MIDI groove or something and just copy and paste it a bunch of times, but it never sounded good. This adds those kinds of small variations, the fills, and different dynamics that I think really help bring your drums alive. So this is the verse part. One of the most important things, like I said, is the power. So if I click here with power, you see how I varied it. In the first verse, you see it's pretty low. Pre-chorus, it goes up. Chorus, it goes even higher. Verse 2, it goes down a little bit. Pre-chorus, down. I don't know why I did that, but anyway. Chorus 2, it goes up again. And then the solo, I wanted it to come back down. Now, when you listen to it, you'll notice in verse 1 and the solo, when the power is down this low, the snare changes from a snare hit to a side stick. So let me just solo that so you can hear it here. I wanted that to be like a nice calm section, and the same thing with the solo. But then when we go into the chorus, for example, it changes to a normal snare hit. So you can hear in the chorus it's much more powerful. And so one of the good things is when you start out, what I do is I start out with an intro if I have one, and then I go into the verse 1 and I put whatever pattern I want. So here, this is just like a normal like rock pattern, just 4 on the floor, I guess. So I have that, and then when I change to the next section, for example, from this to the pre-chorus, all I do is change things like the hi-hats or this power hand. So pre-chorus, see here, I change the minimum power and it changes to hats 25%, so you get a slightly different beat. Let me let you hear that. So here's verse 1, and then it's going to go into the pre-chorus. So you heard there, it's hitting the hi-hats a bit harder, and it's also doing something else with the snare drum. I believe I have it some kind of accents. Yeah, I have snare drum ghost notes, so it's changing that too. Let's just kind of give it some build, and then when I finally get to the chorus here, it will change again. So for the chorus, it's mainly just an increase in power, and I also have some accents here. I'm doing more cymbals in this section as opposed to the pre-chorus. Oh no, I didn't. I don't know what I'm talking about. Oh, more throw-ins. Yeah, so it's doing a few more cymbal hits during this chorus too, just to make it a little bit more lively. And then I do the same thing in the verse. It's basically this type of arrangement. I'll let you hear it. Maybe not all the way through because that's probably too long, but I'll let you hear it from verse 2. So as you heard there, you heard it go from, kind of like a medium volume to loud, then back to soft. And I think that's one of the great things about Jamstix. Now, let me see if I can show you how I'd work from like the start with a riff or something like that. Okay, so here we are with just a bass part. So imagine I came up with this riff in my head, I had this on bass, and now I want to add some Jamstix to it. First, let's just listen to the bass. Okay, so there's our bass. Let's add a track here so we can put Jamstix on it. Go to drums, open up Jamstix 4. Okay, now I'm just going to leave this blank for now. Let's go to kit. And the kit I want to use actually is nothing because I want to use addictive drums. So special kits here. Let's use MIDI out template. Load that. Now instead of Jamstix, just use addictive drums 2. Okay? So, now from here, I'm just going to load up addictive drums 2. It doesn't really matter which kit you use. Let's just use one of the Fairfax kits. Let's try neutral. That's fine. Okay, now if I go into Jamstix, because in Reaper, when you put one plugin after the because in Reaper, if you put one plugin after the other, you can have... In Reaper, if you put one plugin after the other, the MIDI from the first one will travel automatically to the second one. So if I click one of these, you hear it's coming out of addictive drums, which is what we want. Now let's go to groove. So here it just has a verse, and it first has no style and no player. This is kind of funky, so let's do funk. Actually, let's do special styles. Let's do Jamstix Classic, because this allows me to add the kick and the snares however I like. There we go. And now player, let's choose a funk player. Looks like we have Chad here. Add him in there. Now we have some more things to work with here. Instead of a 1-bar style, let's do 2 bars. Okay. And actually before this, let's add an intro because it looks like we have one blank measure. Create intro, this. I don't want 2 bars, double click it there, length to 1 bar. Okay. Now let's hear this play. So that's all right, but one problem I'm hearing off the top of my head is it's not swinging. The bass is swinging, this part isn't. So let's click here, swing. Let's click 16th note swing for everything. And let's try someplace in the middle. Let's see how this sounds. Okay, that's a little bit better. I might want to change it to 8th and 16th notes. But it seems to be grooving a little bit better, but I think we need to do more. So one problem I'm hearing also is that the bass drum and the bass aren't really grooving together. So I need those to hit at the same time. So let's listen to it one more time. Let's listen to the bass once. So there. That's where I need to change this. So kick 1. Let's try it here and see how this sounds. If this works any better. Nope, that's late. Move it ahead. Try here, perhaps. That's really far off. Not what we want. Let's try at the end of bar 2 like this. Now let's see if this syncs up. That's good. That's what I wanted, but it's doing some strange stuff in other places. Another thing you can check out is here, if I use my mouse wheel and scroll down, it'll make this bass drum lighter, so it'll control the velocity. If I move it up, it moves all the way up like that. Another one, I should probably do the same thing here for bar 2. Like this. And it seems like it changed a few other things in there. I can check things out here, the hi-hats, but let's make sure it's grooving alright first. Okay, so one problem I'm having is funky kicks. I want to turn that off, funk it up, turn that off, kill the third. Definitely don't want to do that. So let's see if this changes it and gets rid of that weird stuff that was happening. Okay, so it seems like it's grooving fairly well. Other things I can do to kind of make this more interesting is I just have basic 8th notes here, but there's more things I can do. I can do something like, let's see, funky, since this is a funk song. Let's hear how this sounds. That's okay. I could do something else too. Let's try, for example, 16th note single. I don't like that one too much. 16th note dual. That's a little bit better. It's kind of hard to hear these with the bass, so I'll just let you hear this by itself, the drums by itself. It's kind of hard to hear it with the bass, so I'll just let you hear it by itself. Let's try disco, see how this sounds. Now let's hear it mixed with the bass. Okay, and now we can do something with the accent if we want. I have it on silent here, but let's try something like funky, and let's see how this sounds. Start it from here. Now let's hear it with the bass. I probably need to adjust the swing a little bit so it just sounds a little bit better. It's not quite as tight as I'd like it to be. But that's basically how I would start off with a groove, and from there I might use that for the verse, or actually maybe the chorus, and then I would do something like dial it back. Instead of using this disco part, I'd probably use the 8th part for a verse, and then maybe decrease the power here. So here it's pretty high for a verse. I might move it down a little bit, etc. And so just like the other song, I would adjust those things so, you know, it sounds good for every part. But that's it for today. I hope you found this useful. If you did, let me know. If you have a request you want me to do, leave that down below. And until next time, see you.